There's actually no such thing as assault weapons. Yeah. Um, that's not a real thing. I mean, you can put the word assault in front of anything. Assault spoon, assault mouse, assault mic, but that's not actually a categorization or a type of weapon. It's not a real thing. If you went into a gun store and you said, "Hey, where's your assault weapon section or assault gun section?" They'd either laugh at you or just immediately correct you and say, we don't know what you're talking about. It's not a thing. There are rifles, pistols, shotguns. What else? I don't know. There's probably something else, but there's nothing about any of those that make it assault. An assault this, assault that. Assault is something a person does, and I mean you can do that with anything. You can do it with your bare hands. Um, so it's always important when you're listening to the news or listening to someone argue. I mean, you can be for or against guns and whatever. That's fine. But it's important, no matter which side of the argument that you're on, that you know what you're talking about. I mean, if you're against guns, like you should know that assault weapon or assault rifle is not real, and it just kind of makes you look like an idiot if you're trying to debate and argue your point and you keep saying assault rifle, because that doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. You have to be specific. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to show that you're a little bit, even the slightest bit educated before you get in an argument or debate something. So that's all. I just want to let you know there's no such thing as assault weapons. It's not a real thing. There's no weapon out there that's an assault versus a normal. It's all the same thing. So yeah, take that. And I'm assaulting your brain with some assault knowledge. Actually, that's not all. While we're on the subject, speaking about, you have, whichever side of the argument you're on, you have to kind of know your shit. You got to know like the facts. You got to know what you're actually talking about. And there's no such thing as an assault weapon. That's make believe term. Then you have to ask yourself, well, why do politicians use the term? That's a great question. Why are they saying it? It's got to be for one of two reasons. Either one, they're idiots and they don't know what they're talking about either. Or two, they have an agenda and they're using these words to manipulate people into thinking a certain way. And then you got to ask, well, why? Why are they doing that? I personally believe it's wrong and evil to manipulate other people. So if that's what they're doing, they're evil, and that should be concerning. If they're saying assault weapons, assault rifles, whatever, because they're idiots, well, that should be concerning too, because we don't want to have idiots in the White House. But they keep saying assault weapons and assault rifles. Why? Why are they saying? Are they evil or are they idiots? If it's something your politician cares about, you would think one of the first things they would do is look up the definition and look up if that's even a classification of a weapon and try to make some points from there. But they don't. They just keep saying assault weapons. And again, assault is something you do. Commit assault. That is a real word, and you can commit assault, and but you can do that with anything. You can do it with a weapon, or, you can do it with your bare hands. It can be anything. And also another thing I find concerning, and I'm not taking a side. I'm not taking a side in this video. But another thing I find concerning is when they talk about the number of people who have died by a firearm, they're not telling you what types of deaths, and I think that matters a lot. The vast majority, it's like 68%, it hovers between, I think, 60 and 68, depending on what year you're looking at it. But the great majority of firearm deaths are suicides. Was that an assault? No, because no one was assaulted. It was a suicide. So you got to ask yourself, when they're throwing these numbers around, Again, are they idiots? Have they not looked at the actual numbers and statistics and what type of deaths they are? Or are these people trying to manipulate you and manipulate us into thinking something is this type of a problem when really it's this type of a problem? It's a mental health problem. It's a depression problem. It's these people are committing suicide. When I found that out, I was very surprised. I had no idea. When I found that out, I found it out recently. My first thought was, well, wait a second. Why are we even talking about guns? I mean, why are people committing suicide? And like, if the majority of people who die from a firearm, if 68% of those people who die from a firearm, it's because of suicide. They shoot themselves. And you add in all the other people of the world committing suicide by other means, not firearms, but hanging themselves, cutting themselves, whatever, pills, however else other people are committing suicide. You add all that together, isn't that like way bigger of a problem? It seems so to me. I mean, why is that not being addressed? The mental health issues. They make everything about the gun. The gun did it. Guns are evil. And these people are committing suicide. And if they didn't have access to the gun, they'd probably use a rope. Or they do something. They'll figure it out. People are smart. They'll figure it out. Yeah, I also found out that mass shootings, there's a certain year where they started including gang shootings involving multiple people. They started categorizing that or counting those numbers under mass shootings, which I think is, I think that's kind of deceptive. I don't think of gangs attacking each other and shooting each other as a mass shooting. I think of a mass shooting as one person or more with the intent to go into a public place and shoot people up. Gang shootings, I mean, that should have its own category, and it used to. And now it's just, that's been lumped in. And also, you think, like, when you see the numbers of, like, mass shootings increasing, you got to consider how they're counting, what they're counting as a mass shooting. And I mean, they keep broadening the criteria. And it does seem like more people need to be specific. People need to be very specific. If they're going to make an argument, I'm open to it. I'm open to a good argument. Totally. I'll change my mind. I will absolutely change my mind on a topic, an issue, whether it be firearms or abortion or, whatever, the war in Ukraine, whatever the topic, I'll change my mind. But you got to give me a really good argument with the specifics, the details. Anytime someone comes at me with these big, round, abstract numbers like gun deaths, okay, all right, and I find out it's mostly suicides, I mean, I'm like, well, that's a really bad argument. I mean, it's kind of like missing the point. And then also they leave out, they don't, so there's different kinds of gun deaths, right? There's suicide, there's gang violence, there's mass shootings. There's just straight up murder. Dude, like, gets his gun, he goes out to kill a specific person, straight up homicide, one-on-one homicide. And then you've got cops shooting and killing people justified, like lawfully, preventing a crime. And a number that never gets brought up and compared. In a good argument, you got to compare numbers. You got to take this number and then the counter number, the opposing number, and compare them to kind of get some meaning out of it. So when I hear like how many people, let's select homicides, not suicides. Let's select homicides, shootings where someone shoots somebody else and kills them. Let's get the total number, and then let's compare that to the number where someone, a good guy, a good person with a gun, prevented a murder and prevented a crime, and let's put those stats next to each other and compare them. It's so manipulative and deceitful to omit data and present only your side of the data for the outcome that you want, only present that data, and then not even parse that data out so that it has meaning. Like, just this number of firearm deaths. Okay, but most of them were suicides. Can we like know that? I feel like that's kind of relevant. And then let's compare those numbers with the other numbers. Let's show them. Let's, on CNN, they should put all the numbers up on the screen and show the charts and the data and like the different kinds so that we can be informed and make like actual good decisions. Again, after being informed and seeing all the data, go ahead and be against guns. That's fine. I'm not convinced. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything here, but it's frustrating. And I've been thinking about this because of the recent shooting. It's been on my mind. And I'm hearing all these arguments against guns. Guns is all over the media again. But they're not informing us. They're not giving us the real data. They're kind of just generating a message. They just want to kind of trick you into buying into what they're saying. But you have to be an idiot to go along with it. It's okay if you agree with them in the end, but they're treating you like an idiot by not giving you all the info so that you can kind of decide for yourself what you think is more important or how big of a deal that you think this is. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. Give me the deets. Give me all the info. I always have to go get the info because the media doesn't give me any of the info I actually want to see. They don't give me any relevant information. Why am I always having to go gather and collect my own information and do my own research and go look up the statistics and the year by year and look at the graphs and look at the charts and look at how all that data's parsed out to get to the reality of a situation? Why am I doing that? Isn't that what the news is supposed to be doing? Isn't that their job? So that they can then present it to me, all the data, so that I can look at it and make up my own mind? That's what they're supposed to be doing. It's not what they're doing. It's frustrating. It's a lot more work for me. Man, I feel sorry for people whose worldview comes solely from the news. It's just, they're just not thinking, man. It's not thinking. Be for or against whatever you want, no problem. But man, use your brain. Actually, let's get a real argument, a good debate with numbers and stats and like all the details. That's what I want to see.